Welcome to Stress Less Obsessed, the podcast. My name is Sophie Deans, and I'm here to bring you all things on self-care, self-development, as well as lifestyle tips and hacks to keep your life as simple and stress-free as possible. So let's make a start and join me on a journey of living a life with less stress. Stress Lessers, welcome back to another episode, and for this week's podcast, which is on the topic of kindness and how that can impact our well-being. So what I'm going to talk you through today is basically filling you in on the benefits of being kind, and that isn't just the benefits that the other person or the person on the receiving end gets, but also the benefits that we can feel ourselves as the givers. And then I'll go through and give you a couple of ideas to get you started in case you feel like you can't think of anything. And then we'll go through and address things like if you're worried about just doing it to feel good, and if you're worried about these acts of kindness not feeling truly genuine. I think sometimes, although we are good people, we don't consciously give as much as we could. I'm not sure what the reason for that would be, but it's more about creating a habit so that this comes more naturally. And then I'll finish off the episode so that hopefully all of you listeners, and myself included, maybe we can all make a pact to go away with something in mind and do something kind today or the rest of this week. Extra brownie points if you share what you plan to do or what you've done after you've done it. But we'll get to that anyway. So firstly, seems like a simple question, but what exactly is kindness? I think a lot of us know the feeling, what it's like to be on the receiving end of kindness and to be kind. But just for clarity, I'm going to go over the description of what kindness actually is. So, kindness is a human quality, and it can be described as being compassionate and considerate towards others. So you might see someone being kind by how they're showing empathy, perhaps understanding, and even goodwill with their interactions with people. So this is how you would recognize that someone is a kind-hearted person. And it isn't always as black and white as that, because kindness can manifest in various ways. So that can be from the obvious things like acts of generosity, expressions of gratitude, but it can be even as simple as words of encouragement and other gestures of support. More than anything, I think the standout of the word is that it puts aside selfishness. So it's actually putting others' considerations at the forefront. So I'm sure by now you're already starting to think of examples and situations where maybe you could perform an act of kindness. Maybe you're thinking of a time in the past where someone, hopefully recently, has been kind to you. But let's not jump ahead just yet. I want to talk about why being kind is so good for you and me and everyone else, no matter who you are, where you are, whether you're actually giving the kindness and showing the kindness, and even if you're receiving the kindness, because obviously we know that already. So, did you know that research has actually shown that acts of kindness can give lots of positive effects, such as boosting mood, reducing stress, strengthening social connections, which, that's great for both mood and stress relief, and overall well-being. And therefore, it's great for promoting overall happiness and fulfillment. So, not only this, but there are findings as well that acts of kindness stimulate stimulate the release of oxytocin. So, if you haven't heard of this, or maybe you just need a quick reminder, this is our cuddle hormone or love hormone. That's the kind of nickname for it anyway. It's what I like to call it. And it's a hormone and a neurotransmitter. And it has a role with when we have social bonding, attachments, intimacy. And it gives us that real warm, fuzzy feeling. If you know what I'm talking about, you're probably feeling it right now. But if you don't have a partner, and maybe you don't have a pet to cuddle, then maybe acts of kindness can be another way for you to stimulate this hormone and get that warm, fuzzy feeling. You can also benefit from this feeling when you're bonding with your friends too. But look, we're focusing on kindness for today, so stick with me on this one. So I'm going to give you a couple examples now, and I will give you some of my experiences if you're keen to hear. So some examples where I have felt an act of kindness as a receiver. I was trying to have a think, and the one came to mind straight away because it happened literally, Tuesday? So it happened literally 2 days ago. And it gave me that warm, fuzzy feeling. It made me smile. And I was at the park the other day, and a lady was walking past, and she just commented on what lovely accents we had as Brits. And she asked where we are from, and it sounds like a really simple gesture, and it was a really lovely comment. It's something that made me smile, and it made me think, she could have just had that thought like, oh, I like that accent. And she could have just had the thought in her head and carried on walking, carried on with her day. But she didn't. She took the opportunity to stop us. In fact, she did it twice because I didn't quite realize she said something, and I think we were in conversation and I didn't hear what she said. I didn't realize she was talking to us. And then she said, oh, I said, that's lovely accents you have. And so it was just really nice that she made that effort to make us smile. And I thought that was really kind. So, how many times have you been walking down the street and maybe you really liked someone's jacket or their haircut, but you've not said anything? Like, just imagine how you might have literally made their day. Imagine how you might have made them smile. Imagine if that person was having a really bad day, and that comment, that small comment, could literally have changed their entire day for the better. And the point I wanted to make here is that I really think sometimes we underestimate the sheer power of our words and our actions in both directions. But today we're talking positively. And yeah, to give you another example of how someone's kindness has really changed my life, I guess it sounds dramatic, but was the fact that I've always absolutely hated the sound of my own voice. Like, to the point where I couldn't even listen or watch a video where I've been speaking. It's like, oh, so bad. I just couldn't stand it. And yes, look, I know, just like everyone else, but I'm telling you now, I was always so sure that I hated my voice way more than any of you hated your voice, and that I had some really obscure voice that, yeah, was just, yeah, so bad, worse than anyone else, okay? And despite this, I've always had this thing in the back of my mind that I would have liked to have my own podcast or radio show, back before there were even podcasts. Like, I didn't even know what they were when I was a kid, and I was like making my own radio shows with friends. I don't know if anybody else did that. But yeah, I hated my voice. Absolutely would never ever consider anything like that because of how bad my voice was. Until, guess what? I think it must have been since I've been in Australia, because obviously my accent is different from a lot of people's out here. And I think it's been quite a few times I've actually been complimented on my accent. And it's usually from different people, usually strangers. And I think if it wasn't for those people, if no one had ever complimented my accent, I don't know if I would have had the confidence to ever come on and have my own podcast. Those simple comments, have made me think, well, my voice can't be that bad. My voice can't be that annoying. I'm sure it's not to everybody's ears, guaranteed, but yeah, I don't think I would be recording this now had those people made that simple comment. And these people probably will never think about that comment, that compliment, I guess, that they gave me. But it's had a huge effect on the direction of my life. That's so amazing. And it's amazing to think that you could have that kind of an impact on someone else's life too. So, can you think of anything that someone has done or said to you out of an act of kindness that has impacted you? Now, it doesn't have to be life-changing. Maybe it just brightened your day. Maybe it cheered you up when you were down, made you laugh when you were sad. Just have a think, because remembering and reminiscing over those positive emotions, they keep that joy going and they really help give us a positive mindset. Really helps, give us that feel good vibe, and I just love it. Okay, so next, I wanted to give you an example of an act of kindness that I've done recently. So if you've been following me on the gram, you will know that I've recently moved. Been moving, cleaning. And so yeah, I moved out of my apartment and I had a massive clear out. And I really wanted to give some things to charity because some of the clothes I have, I don't wear anymore. They're still in really, really good condition. I could sell them, but I've always wanted to donate, bedding to the homeless because it's in good condition. Whenever I purchase new bedding, the older bedding is always in really good condition, and it seems such a shame to just throw that out when someone out there could really use it. And I know in the past when I've moved and I got new bedding and I was trying to donate the old bedding and I couldn't find anywhere that would take it. So I was looking at charity shops, and charity shops like, no, we don't take bedding, which is fine. But yeah, it just made me so sad to throw it out. Anyway, this time round, I was determined to find somewhere. Just breaks my heart when I've seen so many people on the street, especially coming into winter. And I don't personally feel comfortable or would know where to go to do it myself, to hand out that, I guess, on the streets. So I really wanted to find an organisation that did that. This time I did loads of research. I've got a car as well this time, which always helps. So I was able to drive to an organisation and give away this bedding that I had. And with doing that, I managed to pull together like 4 big giant bags of clothes as well and give that to someone who needs it. And I can tell you now, it made me feel so good for the rest of the day. And look, I really hope it brings someone else the same amount of joy, if not so much more. It's such a great feeling for everyone involved. And if you're looking to improve your mood, your mindset, your stress levels, I highly recommend this for you and the world, because they're on the receiving end of your actions. So here we go. I've got some more ideas for you. I'm going to go through and give you 10 really great ideas for acts of kindness to get you started, so you can go away with your one thing at least and do that today, or do that, through the rest of this week. And I do want to preface and say, look, I know at first these things, they might feel a little bit cringe, some of them, and you may feel a little bit out of your comfort zone. And it's a bit like fake it till you make it, that once you start doing these things, it might start to come more naturally to you. And you have to start somewhere. Start small, and as you feel that warm, fuzzy feeling, you'll get the confidence to do bigger things. And it's just a step here to go spreading the love and the kindness around the world. Cheese there, but it's so good. So as well, depending on the culture of where you're from, the country, even the town and suburb, you might feel like people are looking at you a bit alien-like at first. Like if you say hello to a stranger or something, they might be a bit confused. But if it happens once, don't let it put you off. People will recognize after the initial confusion, oh, people don't really say hello to each other around here. But they will realize, and it will still 9 times out of 10 make them feel good after the fact. They realize that you're not being weird. Okay. And look, it could then encourage them to start going about and saying good day to people and their neighbours and people in their town as well. So you're starting this chain reaction. Possibly, you just don't know. All right, anyway, let's start. I will drop this list in the show notes too, because if you're walking and you probably don't want to write it all down, you can come back, have a browse later, and once you've done one thing, you might want to do something else. So number 1, you could write a handwritten thank you note or letter to people, or start small, one person who has made a positive impact on your life. Number 2, you could offer to help out an elderly neighbour with household chores. You could offer to grab some groceries for them, or even help them out with some gardening. Number 3, you could offer to pay for coffee or even a meal, if you're feeling generous, of the person behind you in line at a cafe or at a drive-through. And look, you're probably going to get a look of confusion if you're in a queue and you say, and the person hears you, like, can I pay for the person behind's coffee? They might be a bit like, oh, why? I can pay for that myself. So I don't know, maybe this one is more something you can do so it's a surprise. I guess the drive-through one is heaps easier. But yeah, I think this would be met or followed up by pure happiness. And if you are in the line in the queue, you can just explain to the person behind that you want to do something nice for someone today. And yeah, I love this one. This is one I want to do. Next, number 4, you could also volunteer at a local homeless shelter, maybe a soup kitchen or food bank. I actually used to volunteer at an animal hospital right up until I got my little puppy. And I can tell you now, my heart felt so full after every shift. And I can highly recommend this. Volunteering is so good for the soul. Number 5, as I mentioned before, you can donate gently used clothing and books, household items to charity organisations. Number 6, like what happened to me, you can compliment a stranger on something you admire about them. I think this may be one of the easier ones to do because we think things all the time and we just don't say them. So this is a great starting point and it's a good habit to get into. Number 7, listen actively and attentively to your friends or family member and someone who really needs a talk. So giving them your undivided attention. And again, this is also a very good place to start. It's a very, I say small step, but big impact. Number 8, you could leave positive notes or affirmations in public places for others to find. This one is super cute, but obviously avoid littering. It's not cool when someone else has to pick up after someone, and it's not good for the environment either. But you could leave notes for the person you live with, someone at work, things like that. Number 9, little things like holding the door open for someone, letting someone go ahead of you, letting someone go in front of you in a line, letting someone go when you're driving, as long as it's safe to do so, obviously, no accidents, please. And number 10, you could offer assistance to someone, like offering to babysit for a friend or family member, someone who really needs a break. So there is your 10. And if all of these are still a little bit out of your comfort zone, then you can simply just smile at a passerby on the street, as I think the simple things really can make such a huge difference. And I'd like to acknowledge that, especially the older generation that might even be living alone, a smile or a good morning can make their entire day. So whilst this might sound like something really small to you, it really is such a kind gesture. And someone who might be experiencing loneliness, like, you're making a huge impact. So don't forego this just because it's maybe one of the smaller ones and you want to go in big. This can make a huge difference. Now, I know I said there were 10, but I had to add in just a little bonus one too, and that is to practice self-kindness. Of course. So practice self-kindness by taking time for self-care activities that are going to nourish your mind, your body, and your soul. Don't forget about you, okay? This isn't just about everyone else. And obviously you get the benefits back anyway, but don't forget yourself. Be kind to yourself. And self-kindness is so important for our own mindsets. And we can even use techniques like metta meditation. So this, if you haven't heard of it, metta meditation is also known as loving kindness meditation. And if you want to give this a try, then feel free to head to meditation number 18 of the podcast. And I have recorded one previously for you. So feel free to go and give it a go. See if you're feeling more love, more kindness in your body. And like I say, it's really good for yourself as well. I'll also be doing another recording that will be released on Sunday of this week. So if you really enjoyed that and you want to keep practicing self-kindness, then go and try that one as well. You might want to subscribe or follow to make sure you get notified. So there you are. Being kind really does have more benefits than just making someone else feel good. It's so impactful. And so take a moment and have a think about what you will do either today, later this week, and think about something that will be kind to someone, but also be kind to yourself in the process. So I hope you've got an idea or two to hand, and being purposeful with this to start with will make it something that, again, comes more easily eventually the more you do it, and it will create a cycle of this feel good energy. The more you give, the more kindness you give, the more you'll get back and you'll want to keep giving. So thanks again for joining me today. If you'd like to give your very first act of kindness right now, then I really welcome anyone who would like to follow and subscribe, or even share this podcast or episode with your friends, maybe your Instagram, and help me get the word out there. That would truly, truly make my day. And failing that, I'd love a comment or a message. I read them all and respond as well. So thank you again, and I'll see you next week for another episode. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram, Stress Less Obsessed, and thanks for listening. Until next time, breathe and stress less.